I thought this was really cool. We have a little group chat among the three of us. There are 33 Division One conferences. Three of the championships were directed by our group chat in baseball. What are the odds? It's not like we're high profile ESPN group chat. It's not like, we're any of those directors or high CBS or Fox group chat. We're guys that group of five and was at a FCS school. Welcome into the newest Sports Prod Pod. I'm Nick Case, as always, joined by Dennis Trapani and Alex Souza. This time, it is officially summer, and we are looking back at the year that was for all of us as a collective, including none other than the SVG College Summit chairperson, Dennis Trapani. So, Dennis, congratulations. I know that's come and gone, but still kind of cool.
No, it was very cool. It was a really, really good experience. Had a blast.
Sorry, neither of us could be
Honestly,
there.
I was gonna say the only thing that would have made it better is if you guys could have been there. But I know Nick, you had a pretty awesome gig, and Suze, you were with the Shants on their run. So so completely understandable. But I did miss my homies down in Atlanta.
Yeah, my boots on the ground said good things about everything you did there. So that's if there's any worries, you got high marks.
Too kind, too kind.
So yeah, we're a year is gone, and we've all had some interesting things that have happened, and some highs and lows, and I think we should all take some time to celebrate our highs. And I think we should go ahead and start with you, Dennis. I already mentioned being asked to be the chairperson of SVG, which we all love, and I think is really cool. But what else really unique happened with you at Wyoming or outside of that sphere this year?
Well, it was a pretty normal year at Wyoming. Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. It was a pretty normal year. Just doing games and pumping out content out of the office, and the fun really kind of started in March. Um, we did a few more Mountain West championships this year that we did remotely, which was really cool. But once March hit, you go to Vegas for the conference tournament like we always do to do the halftime and the post game shows, which is a blast. Then we get back, and our women's team got a berth to the WBIT. We actually hosted, so we got to do our first ESPN3, ESPN Plus, whatever you want to call it, broadcast ever. And that was such an awesome experience for our students. We're always so proud of our Mountain West Network, product that we put out. But there is just something special about that red and white and silver and black graphics package, right? And those ESPN replay wipes and things like that. And that was really cool for me to, because I'm sitting there and I'm directing, and we're running replays, and we get out of a replay sequence, and we're back to play, and I hear one of our tape kids in the back just whisper, "Oh, that's so cool," into the headset. He didn't realize his mic was still on. So that was awesome. And then getting to do the Mountain West, not only the baseball tournament, but the softball tournament as well. Those were both an absolute blast, especially baseball. We hired a Rush Media truck, sent them to Sloan Park where the Cubs play spring training, had big boy lenses, had guys that do Diamondbacks and Cubs spring training on cameras. My good buddy Eric Poloni from the University of Colorado came up and produced. I directed, and that was an absolute blast. Even the if you were at SVG, you heard me tell the story of our 19-hour triple header day that started at 8 a.m. and finished at 3 a.m. Mountain. And there were points in the third game where we were so tired and laughing so hard that we couldn't see straight. Like, there were people crying in the control room. They were laughing so hard. It was a blast, though. And then to kind of finish the year, as you mentioned, getting to chair SVG this year, and help Brandon Costa and that great group of people put that show on this year. That was it's been a really fun few months for me. And so, yeah, really thankful, really, really blessed the experience I've had the last few months.
Yeah, I know, Suze. we'll leave out Coastal's magical run because what else needs to be said? But other than that, what was like a highlight that stuck out for you this year at Coastal, or anything you did outside for the Fun Belt, as it were?
At Coastal, I think it was our development after football. Football is it's tough for us with the turnover of students every year, and how massive football is of a production. So we kind of limped through that season. We were fine, but I wouldn't send the tape to anyone. And we had a really good rhythm in basketball with like the number of games per week, per month, whatever it may be, where we got in a groove, and I think we figured out how to do TV again. So that was really cool. And then we do hit our stride in the spring. Our softball and baseball shows are pretty good. And then baseball, one highlight, outside of what the team is doing now, which we talked about last week, but for the Clemson game at the end, we were number 14 in the country, and they're number 9, I think. So top 15 matchup, and we decided to do a an alternate broadcast. It was our first alternate broadcast on ESPN Plus. They granted us the ability to do one, and we did sounds of the game. So it was all Nat sounds. Couple extra cameras we shared between the two shows. So the traditional broadcast and the alternate broadcast, I think we shared 13 or 14 cameras, a mic on most of them. The alternate broadcast had 2 or 3 that were dedicated to that show, just for something for that director to switch away from when, we were doing more production stuff. It was cool. It was cool. I think it could have looked a little better. We kind of threw it together. We were so worried about the technology and making it work that we probably could have planned the show a little better. But we got a lot of cool compliments and some pub on it, and we were able to sell a sponsorship on it, which was cool. Which is what everyone needs to do is prove that you can generate some revenue. So that was kind of my way of hey, this is something that couldn't have happened without our group putting the work in. That extra cash flow. So that was cool. And then you mentioned the Fun Belt. Had the privilege to go down to New Orleans and do my first Remy and direct the Sun Belt Championship, which was being played in Montgomery, Alabama. And I was in New Orleans in the Sun Belt offices, actually in the Superdome, which was really cool. They've built a really cool studio and production room in there. So was able to direct all those games, direct AMTD. Had to learn TriCaster again, which was fun for me. And kind of like Dennis said, towards the end, we were on like game 13 and I made a mistake. And the producer, who was great, pointed at the top of his sheet that said game 13. And he was like, "You're going to be okay. Game 13. Like, all right, I appreciate that. It was good. Helped me through a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot, and took a lot of notes, after the fact, and some stuff I'm going to bring back to our shows. So, yeah, that was a really cool experience, and the check just came in, so that was nice too.
Just really awful too, having to be in New Orleans for so long. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I ate well. That was good.
The food picture. I was going to say the food pictures that we were getting.
Yeah,
I was very, very jealous of this man.
Possibly dig some up and post it on the socials so everybody
Yeah.
can see. And honestly, a couple of those were my suggestions, so you're welcome. I'll just take some credit for that.
That is true.
Nick, Nick, I know you joined us in the baseball fever. So kind of tell us about that.
So many times over. Oh my gosh! Actually, I realized this after the fact, and we talked about it in our group chat, and I'd sent it to a few friends that would understand. I thought this was really cool. We have a little group chat among the 3 of us. There are 33 Division I conferences, and 3 of the championships were directed by our group chat in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds? Like that's like, and it's not like we're high profile ESPN group chat. It's not like, we're any of those directors or high CBS or Fox group chat. We're guys that group of 5 and was at a FBS or FCS, pardon me, FCS school. Like, but somehow we found a way to direct 3 of the championships this year. Like, how random but cool. Because I was able to, the CAA Coastal, no longer Colonial, Coastal Athletic, was at Patriots Point, where CFC plays. And I was asked to come out and be a part of it. And I was either running camera or was directing. I directed about half the games, including the championship game that saw Northeastern move on. And I just thought, that's so random, but what are the odds something like that would happen to 3 guys that have known each other for so long and just happen to have a group chat for, 7 years now, just to end up in that position, just organically.
And the best part was we were all texting each other during our tournaments,
Yeah.
either about how tired we are or something cool that just happened in a game. And I mean, Nick, for you to be at Patriots, I mean, I've directed a game or 400 there. Back in my CFC days, that's pretty cool, man. Like,
that's where it started. Like, that's where you brought me on.
We started doing CFC games how long ago, and here we are.
And then within 2 days, I was up to Cary, North Carolina, to do the Division II championships, which I did last year, but this year was a little different. Our friends at Tupelo, Honey, put me in charge for some reason. I don't know why, but okay. So all 10 days, I think 11 counting set, or is it 10 counting set? I don't remember. It all blurred together at a certain point. I was point person, except for having to replace crew because, speaking of regionals from last show, Duke and UNC both made super regionals. So we lost camera people. We lost a director. David Harris, who was down the street at Wake Soccer doing TST, was swapping those people out. But everything that could go wrong did, outside of equipment failing. Thankfully, no equipment failed. Oh my God. But 9 days of games, double headers every day, weather delays, all but 2 of the days, double elimination tournament, only 1 day with 1 game in that whole time. And that was because of weather. So everything got pushed to the next day. Even the championship day, the championships were originally supposed to be 1 game Thursday, 1 game Friday, 1 game Saturday. It became the semifinals and Friday. There's a 2-hour, 3-hour gap, and then the finals start, and then Saturday, both games, if necessary, are played for the finals, and both games were necessary. So the entire time, there was nothing that went according to schedule. So I was having to coordinate with talent. I was having to coordinate with the changing crew members. I was having to coordinate with Turner and the NCAA and the Tupelo people. And I had a moment of, part of the reason I left my old job is to not be in charge. Because after the fact, I realized I did, counting travel and set, 17 of 20 days doing baseball between CAA and D2. Now I need the money, so okay, I got to do it. And one of those checks arrived. The other's not here yet, but it'll be coming soon. So, and that check that's coming will help pay for a vacation that is sorely needed. So great. But yeah, we had our fair share of baseball fun. And just the random fact that the 3 of us did 3 of the 33. So like what, 7%, 8% of the championships were in our group chat. Crazy. What are the odds?
You were texting us updates during the D2 championship, and I was wherever I was. I don't even remember at this point, but I'm sitting there. I think I was in an airport somewhere at one point, and I'm like, I got to send this guy a fruit basket or something. Holy crap.
I couldn't, at one point I had no idea. Like, I started at the beginning. I was like, all right, I'll check. Not necessarily, I couldn't watch because we were all doing something, but I was like, I'll keep up with it. At one point after all the texts, I was like, all right, he can let us know when it's over, because I couldn't keep up with what could be happening. Dude, like, it might as well have started over 3 times.
It felt like it, man. It really did. And, it was hard because I have friends in the area, and I got to see my friend Nick Forbes, and I tried to get a chance to go to Duke and visit him and see campus. But I never had, like, even the times when our games were going to start at like 3 and 6. Oh no, there's rain coming. We're pushing this up to an 11 o'clock start. Okay, well, there goes that. And then by the time I actually had an opportunity, they're getting ready for supers. So there went that. So like the entire week that I had ahead of that, nothing went according to schedule because they were building ahead for rain or behind for rain, and so every day became like 12, 13, 14 hours. And Joe Castellano, who did play by play, who did it last year too out of San Francisco, he's like, dude, I've been doing this for 17, 18 years. This is as crazy as it's been. And I did it last year and it was not like that. So I know this year was an aberration. So I'm going to give it another chance if asked. If it's still like this, we'll reassess. But it was an adventure, man. I'm glad I did it. It was a cool experience. Tampa won for the second year in a row, 10 D2's titles, most in the history of D2. But yeah, outside of that, my first year freelancing full time, I had all these markers I wanted to hit, and somehow I nailed every one of them. And I consider myself very lucky for that. I wanted to work the Charleston Classic, and I got in there with thanks to Tupelo, which was funny because they hired me, and then ESPN said, "No, we got to crew this." So then everybody was fired. But then ESPN a couple of days late, like a week later, reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to work this?" So then I got in with ESPN, hoping to get some more from them now. Tupelo reached out to me to do the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which we touched on last episode a bit. So I got to see Alex for quite a bit. So that made me very happy. I got a bowl game. I wanted to do a basketball tournament, and I got the Big South tournament running Expression for that. I was booth A2 for the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And then, I don't know, everything just kind of fell into place of the high watermarks that I wanted to hit. So I'm really hoping that after some decompression time here in the summer, we can roll into next year aiming for higher. I don't know if it means a football package. I don't know if it means just getting invited week by week to games. The people that I worked with at CSU and Citadel that have worked with the past year that have helped have been great. I'm just, I'm ready for the next step, which is why I left CSU for the next step. And I feel like I've given my knowledge to those that need it. And I'm hoping that I can keep on growing that knowledge outside of that realm. And so that's kind of the next hope is doing all those things again, get the tournaments and get the bowl games and this, that, the other, but also being weaved into higher level broadcasts and different positions and doing more. Whether that happens is still up in the air. It's early July as of this airing, so who knows? But I just know right now I'm not going to think about it for a while. I'm going to reflect on what the last year brought me and be really glad that I took a leap of faith and a controlled leap of faith, but still a leap of faith. And it worked exactly as I'd hoped. Still got a house, never missed a mortgage payment. So I think that's really cool. I feel very fortunate and I'm hoping that continues. And I don't see why I wouldn't. I'm just, every year's going to be a little different. And I'm hoping that this year is different in a better way.
Well, I don't think that either of us is shocked. I mean, you've always hustled and you've always worked your ass off. So, I mean, I think Alex and I both knew from the minute you told us you were going freelance full time. I think we both knew you were gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think I always say, my workers, students or otherwise, I say, oh, the group chat, they know it's you guys. Like I've said who you guys are and all that stuff. And I'll say the group chat said whatever. And when I said, Nick's, going freelance, it wasn't, like some people might be like, oh, I don't know about that. It was just Nick's going freelance. And that was it. And I definitely, you mentioned it a little bit back, why, they would put you in charge. I think at Tupelo for the D2. I mean, I think what you did at Charleston Southern, and it could have been anywhere, but at Charleston Southern, especially to be able to do what you did there, I think that's why people would put you in charge. So I think, yeah, there's no shock on my end, and yeah, definitely proud of that grind because, man, I don't know. I only do a little bit every year, and I don't know if I could do it all the time. So props to you.
I definitely told Michelle, my wife, I got to start training for marathons after this year. I just feel like there's going to be a lot more of that, because Tupelo also brought me in for I did some D3 swim and dive in Greensboro, North Carolina, their championships. They asked me to go to Foxborough to do the D2 and D3 lacrosse championships, but I was already committed to CAA. um, for baseball. And so, like, if that's the route they take me and keep using me, and the money's there, hey, that's fine. I'm for it. You know, but it's also really nice to just be booth A2 and show up and connect your Dante and, set up your Cat 5s and just sit back the rest of the time. So, give me a good balance. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something beautiful about doing your job and not being in charge. I I got to I was the V1 for the JUCO Women's National Championship game back in early April. It was in Casper, Wyoming. My buddy Joel Kate, who's out of back out New York and Connecticut, back in that area, um, at last year asked me to help him crew it. I was supposed to work it, but we had some postseason basketball. I couldn't, but I got the chance to go do it this year. And you're right though. I ran my fiber, I ran my XLRs, my BNCs. I mean, made sure the cameras were plugged in, and then I sat back and shaded the cameras. And it was so nice to not have to worry about what angle we're going, they're calling what angle we're going to, or having to worry about what replay I'm going to show or anything like that. It was nice to just chill almost, and just make sure the cameras look good.
I actually talked to Joel this year because the CBS Sports Network games at CFC were through him and did a couple of those. So
he's a good man. We should get him on here. Actually, I think that'd be fun.
Alex isn't objecting, so that's good.
I'm all in. No, I kind of the same about not being in charge. When I did the Sun Belt, I was directing, so you're in a good amount of in charge. But like, if something sounded weird or looked weird, I would mention it, and then if it didn't get fixed right away, I'd like look at the producer, and he's like, they're either working on it or don't worry, you're gonna be okay. And I was like, for real? And he's like, yeah, you don't have to worry about every single thing. Just switch your cameras. I said, this rules. This is awesome.
It's quite a nice change of pace that sometimes feels kind of foreign. Even now, a year out from it, like it's still kind of odd to just be in one spot. And like I have drifted towards trying to do A2 because I did A2 booth A2 for the Credit One Open for Tennis Channel as well, the major women's tennis tournament in Charleston. I can't believe I forgot that. Again, another great experience, and in the backyard, really great paycheck, and in the backyard, quick paycheck, and in the backyard. But I like doing A2, and I really like that if you do it right, you have a breeze of a day. You set up, and then you tear down, and that's it. Like, that's awesome. I between doing that at UNC, doing it for the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and then doing it for the tennis tournament, that's the direction I'd like to go. And Natalie Sigmund, who was one of the head ops people that was there, she was working the desk, and I was working the booth. She said she was going to pass my name along and to people that need A2s. So I'm like, hey, please do. So maybe there's something there. We'll see. But either way, I'm in a position where there's a lot of places directions I could go. And I think that's one I'd really like to explore more. So.
Options are good.
Yeah, I think
that's all I had. Options are good.
deep and insightful.
Yeah.
I was going to say in terms of not having to worry about everything. That was one of the really great things about the Mountain West tournament, the baseball tournament, was, Brian Tripp, who's been on the show before, he said, hey, we're hiring a pro truck. We got pro camera guys. He's like, flesh your crew out. He's like, don't skimp. And he actually allowed me to do that. So, we had a dedicated bug operator. We had a dedicated font coordinator with a graphics operator. We had a dedicated replay producer. And it was great to just sit there and just take the information as it came at me. And all I really had to do was worry about the cameras. And that was because even the replay producer would tell me, all right, go red, blue, brown, red, blue, gold, whatever it is. And it's amazing how much more fun the job is when you're not worried about every last little thing.
Well, I think that's a good time to keep this a little short one since we're talking about the year that was. It's time to wrap that up and take some time to ourselves and, not worry about things for a bit. Take a little break. The next time we reconvene, we'll talk about the summer, what we do for fun, what we look ahead for the year. In the meantime, gentlemen, until next time on the Sports Prod Pod, I'm Nick Case for Dennis Trapani and Alex Souza. Good night, Satellite.